Let's talk about food. A chef in New York City is putting a new spin on an old technology and taking local eating to the extreme. All of the produce served in his restaurant is grown just a few steps upstairs from his kitchen. A Willy Wonka of vegetables. His garden grows without any soil and is closely monitored by computers. John Donvan goes up on the roof and chows down in tonight's Sign of the Times.
Wow. Sitting on a stoop on West 10th Street in Manhattan with a salad and a chef who made the salad. There's got to be a story here. Meet John Mooney.
The vinaigrette is a cider balsamic with a little bit of macerated berry and extra virgin olive oil, 3 ingredients.
Who in a few weeks' time is opening a restaurant in this very building at basement level.
Booths here with our skylight.
But the real story is upstairs. 6 long flights upstairs. There is no elevator.
No, I won't.
Because when you get to the top and the blinding light...
Here we are.
Wow. This is your farm?
Yeah, this is our rooftop farm here in Manhattan.
This is where that salad came from.
It's roof to table.
Roof to table.
Roof to table.
This is where the lettuce came from and the strawberries.
I'd like to tell people that they're so perfect that they look fake.
May I?
Yes, please do.
But look at what else he's growing here.
I can smell the mint from here.
Yeah, the mint
which is right over here.
great. This is broccoli rabe, summer squash. Have you ever seen a fresh chickpea? The garbanzo bean?
You're growing garbanzo beans?
Absolutely.
Mooney's new restaurant, Bell, Book and Candle, will be the first in the U.S. to grow its own food on a rooftop, enough to serve an 80-seat restaurant every night for 10 months out of the year.
Beans here.
Beans, yes.
These are tomatoes?
Tomatoes, yes.
Can you show me what you got with tomatoes?
Sure. Let me just walk through here without damaging
the jungle.
my produce.
Get a machete? Just kidding, no machete.
In a way, it's a vegetable farm, but kind of a Willy Wonka vegetable farm, the way this lettuce looks like it's growing on trees.
On the lettuce, you're shaving something like 25% off the growing time.
Yeah, I mean, I can harvest in 4 weeks.
Amazing.
But that's the key to what Mooney is doing here, and it's the point that he wants to make. The technology that makes this possible is called hydroponics, and it not only keeps this restaurant supplied with food he grows himself here above the city, but in the bigger picture, he thinks it could become a model for all of us to grow what we need very close to home.
Why are you doing this?
Well, for one...
I mean, would it not just be easier to go down the street to the farmer's market? We're in New York City, there are plenty of them. Stuff tastes good.
Well, because I believe in ingredients. I've always been involved in responsible sourcing, and then this is something that I can totally control. I can produce right here for myself in abundance, and all I have to do is go on the roof.
The key is water, or more specifically, water without soil.
So 7 weeks ago, these were all seeds.
Yes, one of the benefits of hydroponics is the rapid growth.
Mooney's using a system where water filled with nutrients circulates through these towers, each of which can sustain dozens of separate plants. The absence of real soil keeps the system lightweight enough and upright enough to fit into small spaces, like a rooftop. It also eliminates plant diseases and pests that can live in the soil.
This is our bib.
Bib lettuce.
Yeah. You see the beautiful head of lettuce.
Yeah.
Totally beautiful. Roots attached.
Yes.
Without the sunlight, roots attached, totally living.
Amazing.
I call it living lettuce, living salad, living vegetables you're eating.
Who says lettuce can't grow on trees?
Exactly.
There you go. So show me what's inside one of these towers, how this is working.
Okay. What we have in the base is the water, the nutrient solution, the water that's filled with our minerals, which is what makes a plant taste good. It pumps through the center here. And then it trickles down. It uses 12 minutes of energy, an hour. It runs for 3-minute cycles. And
then it gets air the rest of the time.
Yeah, air and sun.
Now there is something timeless unfolding on this rooftop, because hydroponics as a basic concept is an ancient idea, as ancient as Babylon's Hanging Gardens. But it's always had an air of experimental to it, not a solution embraced by the world's farmers, in part because it's so unconventional and can be expensive to set up, as well as needing a lot of monitoring to keep the system functioning. But Mooney is a believer.
John, in addition to running the restaurant, what are you trying to prove here?
You know, we're just trying to be as efficient as possible. No, I hope I'm the beginning of something, absolutely. I think it's well thought out. We've tested this for more than a year. This isn't something we've just jumped into. There will be no waste, but for New York, I felt it's the way to go.
To Mooney, this could also solve the problem of people not being able to afford what's available in farmers markets.
So we're picking lunch?
Yes, we are. I'm going to make you a couple varieties of salad.
And yes, that salad really did come from up here. I know, because I helped in the harvest.
A lettuce bouquet.
And watch as the farmer on the rooftop becomes once again the chef downstairs. The only ingredient that didn't come from up above, the nuts and the cheese. All the rest really was rooftop to table. Or we should say rooftop to front stoop.
This is spectacular. I'm coming to your restaurant.
It's really only a start, what's happening here on West 10th Street. But who knows? Maybe Mooney's right, and someday this view could be green from top to bottom. I'm John Donvan for Nightline in New York.
On this edition of Emeralds, Florida, we're heading back to the city of Orlando. Farm to table is our focus. We're going to visit the greenhouse. And they're supplying some of the top restaurants in Orlando a lot of great produce that we're going to get to taste. Our next stop takes us to a place that's producing some of the best produce in the area. It's in a greenhouse, and that's actually the name of the company. The greenhouse is located in Apopka, a city outside of Orlando. There's no signage, it's not open to the public, and they mainly sell directly to restaurants. Katherine Grandey is the owner, and she's growing some great produce for some of the top restaurants in Orlando. Her family is actually in the greenhouse business. They build them. Katherine took one of the models they use as a showcase, and she and her dad started an indoor farming family business. To grow her crops, Katherine uses what's called an aeroponics system. These vertical towers allow her to grow different types of produce in very little space. She has about 120 towers, and she's grown a wide variety of petite leafy greens, lettuces, herbs, and microgreens. Since everything is grown inside the climate-controlled greenhouse, seasonality isn't an issue. So she can basically take orders from the small group of chefs she works with to provide them whatever produce they want throughout the entire year.
He'll probably do about 135,000 plants this year, right? But you're only doing, what, 4 restaurants? 5 restaurants?
Yeah, 4 or 5 restaurants.
Because you want to have that personal relationship with the chef and
I do.
grow specifically what the chef wants for his or her restaurant.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
That is a green choy that we do grow for Chop Chop.
Keep growing it. I'm fascinated with this. This is about ready to be harvested now, right?
In a couple more days, this will be ready. This is a spring mix that we came up with just to do something a little different.
Yeah.
It's got mizuna, it's got mustards, it's got a couple different kinds of romaines, a few other different lettuces in there, a little purslane sometimes. We mix it up all the time.
Tastes like lettuce. That's the whole thing.
In many cases, she can turn crops around in 2 to 3 weeks. That's pretty amazing. She doesn't use any pesticides or herbicides to grow her products. Growing the food vertically keeps the plants off the ground, which allows plenty of air circulation, and that limits both pests and disease. With these towers, she estimates she uses about 5% of the water that outdoor farmers use. And the plants are nourished with a mixture of water and nutrients.
We have nutrient solution that comes in 2 parts, and then we mix that and have it fed into the tanks. The tanks don't feed into each other, so each tank is sort of its own individual environment.
The plants Katherine grows are really high in quality and are not inexpensive. But you do get what you pay for, and this stuff is great. And while she's thinking of expanding the business, she wants to stay small for now and continue working with the select few customers she currently has.
You could do 40 restaurants if you wanted to, but you choose not to.
Right. So we could grow a couple of things and sell it to way more restaurants and say, okay, we only offer 4 products, but we decided to do the opposite and work with every chef and say, what is your dream? Like, what do you wish you had? What can you not get? What are you thinking of in the future? And try to grow that for them.
Arugula's got to be one of probably your biggest, right?
Definitely.
It just tastes amazing. You know, you get that peppery, but it's balanced. It's just really delicious. And then this is pat soy?
Yes.
Which I love.
And this is a great salad component. Again, it doesn't really get much bigger than this, and it's just really mild, and it's really nice raw. And the mustard. This is my favorite. This is absolutely my favorite. Yeah, I could eat this every day. Yeah.
This is really great. I'm going to have to take some of this with me, though.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Great. Thank you,
really
Chef.
Appreciate it.
It is taking going green to a higher level, quite literally. These 26 aeroponic towers are the latest addition to O'Hare International Airport's sustainability program. a first-of-its-kind urban garden located between Terminals 2 and 3.
Hydroponics and aeroponics, mostly hydroponics, have been familiar with in the past. It's been used in, across the world, but never, of course, at an airport. And it's really kind of taking shape and really coming along more and more with greater technology and the ability to, as you can see, grow these beautiful products behind us.
What can you grow in the middle of one of the world's busiest airports? You name it, from habanero peppers to bib lettuce to edible flowers, all of them grown without a shovelful of soil. Seeds are first germinated in small cubes of nutrient-rich volcanic rock. Then they're transferred to these 8-foot-tall towers.
There's a reservoir, a 20-gallon reservoir, and they're set to a timer, so it waters for 15 minutes, and then it shuts off for 30 minutes, waters for 15 minutes, and the water's all recycled within the system.
And because they're not using soil, the growing cycle is much quicker. That means they can get much more production out of the crops they have.
Oh, we have over 1,100 planting spots in here, and each one of those planting spots is ready to harvest within 4 weeks.
That's all it takes?
So in a year, that's 13 different crops.
Once it's harvested, the produce is used steps away in airport restaurants like Wicker Park Seafood and Sushi.
It is true that growing vegetables and herbs on the airport reduces the need for transportation, but it also delivers the freshest ingredients to our travelers and to our visitors. They are demanding fresh local produce. We are delivering fresh local produce.
Fresh produce, grown at O'Hare where travelers can sample it, bringing a whole new meaning to Taste of Chicago.
I'm GEHRLEIN, and I'm the founder of Rebel Earth Urban Farms here in Escazú, Costa Rica. We are located on the terrace of a LEED certified sustainable hotel that is going to be opening here soon. And our purpose is to provide fresh produce for the restaurant here on the premises. Tower Garden is a vertical aeroponic growing system. Each tier has 4 slots for plants. And here's the root system. It sits in here, and there's a pump in the bottom. It shoots water up through the center, and the water trickles down and drips on the root systems of each plant. And this basin holds 20 gallons of nutrient water. The towers were created with the intention of making it easier for anyone who wanted to farm to do so. And also they're ideal for the setting that we're in because we have the capacity to grow our own fruits and vegetables here on the premises of the hotel on the terrace with very little space. On our commercial units that we have here, we're growing 44 plants on every tower. We have 15 towers. Because the purpose of our farm is to cater to the restaurant here at the hotel, I talk with the chef regularly, and he lets me know what he's in need of, and that gives me an idea of what I need to harvest. We also are trying to develop a rotation of planting and harvesting to meet the demand of the restaurant.
The best restaurants pride themselves in using the finest and freshest ingredients, but forget farmers markets. You got to see this. There's a restaurant in town serving the ultimate in freshness.
Susan Hirosuna is live at Playa to show you where the restaurant grows its own produce. Susan.
That's right. So Barn on Playa serves the freshest produce, and this is why. Take a look at this tower, this planting tower here. This is pak choy. Here's the system. Down here is the tank. There is water and nutrients in this tank, and a water pump actually pushes all that great liquid up to the top of this planting tower. Up here, there are 35 of these towers. There's spinach, there's kale, parsley, all kinds of great stuff, all to supply Playa. Playa's renowned chef John Sedlar knows the tastiest food is the freshest. His cielo verde salad is a mix of exotic greens and edible flowers with just olive oil, salt, and lemon.
And here we have a little bit of cilantro flowers.
Even the cocktails here depend on fresh produce to maximize taste and aroma. But no matter how big the night's demand, Chef Sedlar never worries about running out. When the chef needs the produce for his restaurant, he doesn't go that far. He comes up here to the roof. Come on up. The chef is also gentleman farmer. What starts as seed turns into plantable seedlings. Watch this time-lapse video with seedlings in these 6-foot towers turn into a veritable forest. Up here there's corn, cucumbers, tomatoes, and they're already harvesting chives, crisp lettuce, kale, herbs like watercress, cilantro, Mexican tarragon, epazote.
I couldn't find from the farmers or the markets the things that I needed in our urban Latin kitchen downstairs. So we went in search and we bought this.
This is a sophisticated aeroponics system, soilless, plants fed every 7 minutes with water and nutrients. Restaurant owner Bill Chait sees this type of farming at all 16 of his restaurants.
So here we're utilizing space that would otherwise be fallow land, as it were. And in terms of the cost, I mean, the towers basically are much more efficient at producing crops per square inch than any other system, because you're not sort of going flat, you're going up.
Good on the
You have
line
no idea.
and for the bottom line. All right, so now I'm going to answer the most obvious question. Can you come up to the rooftop of Playa to see all of this? And the answer is no. And frankly, you don't want to. It's kind of a hairy climb. Reporting live in Los Angeles, Susan Hirosuna, Fox 11 News.
Besides not being able to find it, you wonder if the cost is, there's a cost savings
My
there.
other question is, could you do it at home?
Yeah.
Sure you can.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. I'd love to get one of those planters in my
They're
area.
neat, aren't they?
Yeah.
Also the story of a grocery store willing to take a chance. This is the heart of downtown New Orleans. Construction is booming, buildings standing tall, and towering above all the traffic, the Superdome and City Hall. But look what else is growing high in the sky, a rooftop vertical garden above Rouse's Market in the French Quarter. Jack Trouting is in charge of the Roots on the Rooftops garden at Rouse's. Herbs are everywhere, growing in these aeroponic water towers and being picked, served, and sold right downstairs.
This is the epitome of local. We tracked from rooftop to the produce department at about 100 steps. So we're as local as it gets.
These towers have no soil, just water, which allows the plants to grow faster. Do you plan on this growing, no pun intended, to other stores?
Yeah. We're going to grow up even more. We actually have already put in plans to double the size of this farm. We're looking at a couple of our other locations. Our facility planning for this already would allow us to grow enough vegetables and herbs to support 6 other stores. So we are reducing the refrigeration, the diesel, the transportation of bringing product in from California or from the Northeast coast.
Doug Jacobs and Kevin Morgan Rothschild head up the firm offering the vertical plant production systems. Urban agriculture is their business, and growing new methods of farming is their future. Doug, show me how this tower works, because they're actually growing in air and water, right?
Yeah, so these are vertical aeroponic tower gardens. At the bottom here we have a 20-gallon reservoir. Water is pumped up the center to a rain cap. There's a shower cap with a bunch of holes at the top, and so the water trickles down onto the roots of the plants. So if you pull this plant out here, you see the beautiful white roots, and they're quite literally growing in air.
Doug and Kevin are selling and installing the towers across the country, even in Alaska. And so, how many times a year can you do this system?
With these towers, we can harvest about 12 times a year.
Rouse's brought in the 2 young farmers, their first big client, to install and plant the garden.
It's incredibly exciting. It's a great start. I couldn't have asked for anything more that Rouse's would get this technology, put it on their roof, start serving the food down in the stores, and then expand upon it.
This is where it all began for Doug and Kevin. Their first test installation of 20 towers at Holly Grove Market and Farm, where their lettuce is sold to locals. So how did you get into all this? Because you just graduated from college.
Yes, I did. Well, I saw it and I started, I wanted to build my own. I got this manual off the internet and I started, got my friends involved and we started putting together. And then a bit later I met Doug at Tulane through this Social Entrepreneurship Institute, and the rest is history.
And now you guys are full swing in business.
Yes, it is. We got too many projects on our hands.
It's not too bad for a year out of school.
I know.
It's really important for me as a consumer. So much of the stuff you get in the grocery stores is packed unripe. It's shipped across the country in refrigerated trucks, and by the time it gets to you, it's been 2 weeks out of the fields, and stuff like this, and the nutrients kind of degrade over time. This stuff is cut and it's literally in the market within hours.
Back at Rouse's, the lunch crowd is packing in. The hottest item on the menu today, pizza, topped with, you guessed it, roof-raised basil.
This is the fastest and freshest pizza. We took a short elevator ride, 90 steps to the department. We've got fresh basil, fresh mozzarella. Yeah, just picked it 2 minutes ago.
All right, well, we
here
have
it
to
is.
eat.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
by all means, give it a shot.
That's fresh.
Cheers.
And that's going to do it for us this time. We thank you for traveling the country with us on this edition of America's Heartland.
Jessica and Katherine Grandey may have the coolest garden you've ever seen, and not just because it's in an air-conditioned greenhouse called the greenhouse.
This is our greenhouse farm.
Take a look around. All the plants you see are growing out of those white cylinders.
We have 72 towers.
Sorry, white towers. The business grows for Central Florida hotel and restaurant chefs, and they grow all kinds of things.
Lettuces, leafy greens, and herbs.
And it's all done without any soil at all. Nothing is in the ground. It's all vertical.
These are in aeroponics systems.
It's all based on the system the undercover tourist saw, then uploaded to YouTube after a visit to Epcot at Disney World. The guy who worked on these for the mouse left and started his own Orlando company called Future Growing.
It's really cool stuff.
Every 15 minutes or so, the watering system kicks in, showering the plants with nutrient-filled water right where they need it.
It actually is hitting into their roots, so all of the good minerals and nutrients that are in the proprietary solution that we use are going right directly into the roots. So it makes them grow even faster.
Many of these plants have only been growing for 3 to 5 weeks. Perhaps the coolest thing about all these aeroponic tower gardens is they're not just for commercial use. See that over in the corner? That's the home version, and you can have it at your house anytime you want to order it.
You can do tomatoes, you can do squash, I mean, just name it.
The home version costs around $500, but Jessica says it pays for itself quickly.
You save money, you know, because you're growing it yourself.
And she also says it's almost foolproof.
If I can do it, anybody can. Because I can't say that I've had a heck of a lot of success in my backyard garden.
But she and her sister have a lot of success with the greenhouse and hope more people turn to vertical growing with these cool tower gardens.
It's like being in the future.
Tom Johnson.
Good stuff.
Fox 35 News.